Alrighty, welcome to episode 256 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. In a WA first, Tesla has opened its 8 version 4 stall supercharger station in Osborne Park. Each stall offers a maximum power delivery of 322 kilowatts and an off-peak tariff from midnight to 9 a.m. of 32 cents per kilowatt hour. Tesla's Q1 earnings call will be held tomorrow morning, 23rd of April at 5:30 Perth time. And that was this week's news. And once again, welcome to the program. As is customary, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello. Or perhaps a little bit later on. Alrighty, and as I said, like that was this week's news. It was mainly every week I usually try and pick out local news more than global news because I guess it's the local stuff that affects us immediately. And obviously, it's great news that the Osborne Park site has actually opened. I think it was late last week that it actually opened. And it's great to see. It's the first time we've got version 4 stalls. I, I'm pretty sure we don't have a version 4 DC boxes, so the power converters. But the good news is,
Yeah,
sorry,
they're version 3, Harold.
version 3,
So,
so they'll be 500 volt maximum. So it's open to all EVs, but the higher voltage EVs will be slightly rate limited according to how they can convert that voltage. But it
no,
can deliver 322 kilowatts, which there's no Tesla in Australia that can absorb that yet. Hopefully there will be soon. But there will certainly be some non-Tesla EVs that would be able to absorb that power. And look, the biggest news I think is that between midnight and night and as late as 9 a.m., you can get power for roughly 1 cent more than the standard home tariff, which is a screaming bargain because the superchargers do jam in the energy very quickly. So I think that's the deal of the century as far as if you're on a standard home tariff and you don't have any solar or whatever that you can use, if you come as late as like 8 a.m. and use the superchargers, you've got a whole hour to fill up or whatever you want to do. And it's the cheapest supercharging in Western Australia at that time. Alrighty. James, you've got your hand up.
I think you kind of answered the question, but obviously Teslas can't charge that fast. However, other cars can. So, I'm often surprised when you get there, you can only get 130. So that's about the maximum most Teslas will get.
Yeah, so for example, on the long range newer Teslas, if you arrive at less than 10%, which most normal users wouldn't dream of, and your battery pack is warm or hot, so it's say been preconditioned or it's quite warm, then the maximum you ever see is about 252 kilowatts. And if you don't, you basically plug in, get your phone on video, and you start videoing the screen, and that will only last for a few seconds. Literally, it'll be 10, 15 seconds, and then it'll go 248, 247, da da da, da, and it'll start tapering very quickly to below 200 kilowatts. So the headline of the 250 Max, which our long range cars, young long range cars can do, is fleeting. It's kind of more ceremonial than anything else. So the 322 again is ceremonial. The Cybertruck we know in the States can absorb more than that actually. They can absorb, I think, closer to 500 odd kilowatts for a bit. But again, they taper off. But, we don't have Cybertrucks. Um, So it's kind of irrelevant at the moment. But still, it's great to see. We still haven't got. I don't think in Australia. I'm not sure in Australia if we've had a proper version 4 cabinet, the actual DC box. But once that happens, that'll be 1,000 volt scope, so that can do all the EVs and very high power, very very high
And I
power.
saw that the new ones, they've got the longer lead. So if you've got a
Yes,
BYD or a different car, you can reach left or right of the car. So no more hogging two spots for
yeah,
other brands.
indeed. And I'll just bring up the image of the photo that Tesla posted up, that Tesla Charging posted up, and it's probably the best layout that's not parallel parking or drive through. 2 seconds, I'll just bring it up, and it is this one. Okay, so what's good about it? Bear with me for 2 seconds. That's very boring TV. Just while this computer does its thing, is by having these stalls. There we go. Super slow. By having the stalls positioned in between the two bays and kind of in the center, it actually means in a Tesla you could forward park and use either stall. So you forward park and your charge ports on this side, so you could use this one or that one, and it really doesn't matter which one you use, because if someone in a Tesla reverse parks, they can again use either one because that nozzle's long enough. Because it's holstered here and it's tethered here, it can go and droop to your charge port there. So that'll work. And then you've got all the other non-Tesla EVs. They will be able to either forward park or reverse park into either bay and use either stall and not inconvenience a Tesla or someone else. So it's probably the best. The only thing better would be if you could continue to drive forwards and out, um, with a caravan or something like that. But really, this is and they're wide bays as well. This is probably the best of the cul-de-sac or whatever you want to call it, terminating car park sort of situation that you can have. So yeah, and that's hopefully that will be the blueprint for future Tesla installations in WA. And then eventually we'll get the version 4 power cabinets and get those advantages as well.
The extra long cables are very handy as well. I think Rob said they're about 40 centimeters longer than the usual.
Oh, if not more, yeah, I'd say at least 40 centimeters, Pete.
Actually, I've just put up a image in the chat from the video that I did there, and so that looks like it's about 4 meters, 3 or 4 meters. I didn't actually walk it out or measure it, but yeah, definitely, yeah. Actually, it looks almost. So it probably covers that whole bay sideways. So that would be at least 3 meters, you would think.
Oh, well, Pete, you could have at least walked over to that corner and walked to the front and, I mean, come on, where's the commitment, really? I mean, the lighting's very nice. It's very flattering. You got almost like a golden hour with the diffuse sort of clouds and stuff. That's very nice.
gonna say it looks like IA, AG, AI image sort of
Yes,
stuff.
it's an AI image.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. No, that's good.
Looks good.
And the most important thing is it's another supercharger, which is interesting. If you look on the supercharger map, you've got this sort of like a slight arc of superchargers with Karrinyup, Osborne Park, and Kings Park, and they're in like a bit of a not quite a straight line. It's like a bit of an arc, which is quite nice. And let's face it, too many superchargers are barely enough.
And don't forget, we've got Coogee as well. So we've got
Indeed.
four in the
Yep.
metro area now. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Armadale coming and others as well. So it's going to be good. We're going to be girt by urban superchargers, and now we just need to have. What'd be lovely is to have superchargers across the Nullarbor. Elon, if you're listening. Alrighty, has anyone got any questions or comments, or even anyone who's newly gotten a Tesla or about to get a Tesla? Which, by the way, what's it called? Glorious Ace? No. What's that ship called, Pete? Glorious Ace. Yeah, on mute.
No, not glorious. Ace something, but not
Yeah,
glorious.
something Ace.
Genuine Ace.
Genuine, that's
Ace,
it. That's it.
the only
Very
real
good.
Ace is a genuine one. All the others
Yeah.
are fakes. And I actually had the track on my computer, but it's basically going to arrive
Drunk at the
tomorrow
moment.
morning. So it's sorry, say that again, James.
He's a bit drunk at the moment. He's all over the place. They're doing in a holding pattern, not moored, but
Right. Yes. So I think the port was a bit full and there was bad weather and other things. So it they've obviously just decided to marine traffic. Here we go. They've obviously decided to let it park up at Ningaloo for a little bit and also change its rate of travelling. I'll just refresh this website, which is the marine traffic website. And it's actually closer than we thought. It's actually just near Two Rocks. So I'll just share that screen. It's doing 13.8 knots. And it's level with Two Rocks just here. So it's expected to be in Fremantle, and that was actually half an hour ago. So it's obviously even further along, and it's due to get into Freo at 6 a.m. ETA tomorrow.
Might even be there earlier if it's already at Two Rocks, but they
Yes.
it might have to wait outside the port or what have you.
Yeah, it probably has to stage itself, and then a tug has to come out and meet it and all that sort of stuff. So if you consider the tug engagement time and all that sort of thing, and it may need a pilot as well that gets on board. So, and the good thing is there are six.
And also the port was busy. There was a car
Yes.
carrier alongside when I was there in Freo this afternoon, so you got to get a space for it to come in.
Precisely, and I did see a lot of vehicle transports getting. I think they were mostly EVs actually. I'm not sure if they were Konas or something similar. So clearly the port's busy.
There were
And,
Konas today.
right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they look like Konas. So that's great, and the thing is, everyone who has ordered a car that's on this ship, their apps, as of at least some hours ago, and probably even now, say deliveries from the 27th of April, which is clearly not going to happen and couldn't happen because in WA the 27th of April is actually a public holiday. So Tesla wouldn't be allowed to deliver cars even if it wanted.
It still probably take them about 5-6 days, wouldn't it? Until
They're pretty quick. So what they do in modern times is they will try, and it'll be quite instructive if you visit the O'Connor site in the next few days, there will be more Teslas on that site than ever. Like what they basically try and do is jam as many cars on site at O'Connor, so there's only one truck trip from Fremantle to O'Connor. Anything that's an overflow has to go to Hazelmere, and that means double handling, which is more costly, and it risks, your risk of damage increases with every time you have to move the car on and off a truck. So they are going to literally jam O'Connor with as many new cars as they can, and then process them as quickly as they can.
But most of them would still have to go to Hazelmere because if there's 640 odd cars, there's no way O'Connor's got.
No,
even
but
half
they
that
will fill
capacity.
they will fill any spare capacity in the body shop,
Yeah.
in service on the horseshoe shaped road that goes right around. They will stack. It'll be a sight to see. They will stack it full of cars, as many as they possibly can, because the more they can fit there, the less they have to handle twice.
So
So-
we're going to post from the newspapers in the next week saying, "Look at all the unsold Teslas. The Teslas that can't be sold."
Yes, no doubt.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's 642 of them, and they haven't been sold, except they've all been
Yeah.
pre-sold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's 640 of them that are sold. So,
Yes. It
so
goes.
how many days do you think the turnaround time is? Obviously, it will depend on where the car is in the sequence,
So-
but
Yeah, so Tesla historically has gotten very good service from the transport companies. So whereas you often see many other cars languishing in the staging area for many days, Tesla is generally fairly quick onto getting cars decanted. So they come off the ship onto the docks, and they've got a certain number of days of free service there where it's just a standard fee that as long as you get rid of them within a certain number of days, there's no additional charge. But if for some reason you're not able to get rid of them or remove them, then you are charged a rather large sum of money per car per day. It's like $100 a car per day or something. It's really high. But anyway, Tesla historically gets them moved quite quickly, all other things being equal, and I think they've got a very well-oiled machine now to wash the cars, peel off all the protection bits, and prepare them. I think they've got that down to a pretty well-honed sort of process.
put
So,
number plates on as well.
oh, well, that's the last minute. The thing is, they have their own registration ability, so they got boxes of number plates. So that's a very quick process. They will probably be, if the ship comes in tomorrow, there is a long weekend, but I think the port generally works through most public holidays. And a friend of my wife's has said that they're running double shifts. The port's really busy at the moment, so there's plenty of work on. Look, they'll be delivering cars later next week, later next week, and they'll be doing probably at least 50 a day because they know how to get through them.
So probably 4
Well-
to 7 days as a turnaround time, roughly.
Yeah, and they can deliver them if they pull their finger out and things go well. They can deliver them within a couple of weeks, which is good. So, and in fact, they must already have had cars delivered previously because when I visited O'Connor today, I had to get my glass roof replaced. There were cars in the pickup section that I could see through the sort of pearly gates. And so clearly they're already dealing with a prior shipment already. So no, they've got their delivery process down really well.
Interesting question from Mikey in the chat about getting, he might be in jest, but getting one that's reassigned. So right now, anyone that wouldn't confirmed, that would be on the open market now. You know, the invoice ones, if somebody had declined,
If they cancelled or something.
cancelled, yeah.
Yeah, look, I think, look, Tesla, it's in Tesla's interest to sell that. Look, if there's a cancelled car, and I mean, cars get cancelled all the time because finance falls through, someone loses their job, their circumstances change, they change their mind, whatever, things happen. It's actually in Tesla's interest to sell that car to a new buyer rather than bumping an existing order holder up the list. And if you're putting your Tesla shareholder cap on, that's exactly what you want to do. Flog it to someone who hasn't got one, hasn't ordered one yet.
But what would
Even
be the
if that
time frame
means
for
they-
that? Would they be hitting the
It'd be quick.
Inventory
It'd be
stock you'd be starting
Oh.
to have to look now, or
no. Well, if you look, I haven't looked on the website, but I'm very confident that there'd be nothing available in inventory, And usually,
There's two. I had a look today. There was two Model Ys, a performance and
right. Well,
one.
bearing in mind, performance is from Germany, so that's not on the ship. So
Correct.
that's a different thing. And
Barely.
performance
Yep.
is that's another strata. And it's funny. I was talking to my wife today, and we were discussing because we both had performance classic Model Ys. And to be honest, I wouldn't bother buying a performance again because even the standard car without performance is a rocket. And if you get the acceleration boost, it's still a rocket. And like we've said many times, yes, it's great fun to be that person that drags everyone off at the lights and gets from 0 to 60 k's an hour in not very long time or whatever. But even most rev heads would go, yeah, I'm kind of looking a little bit like a tool if I keep doing it day in, day out for every single intersection. It gets old pretty quickly. So the performance, it's a lot costlier, it's lower, there's other compromises.
I think Harold.
That's more niche.
I think Paul would disagree with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
I came
He
off
gets
mute.
old
I
pretty
went,
quickly.
hang about.
Look, I got it. But if you talk about a normal distribution,
Yes, yeah.
most people sit in a standard, let's call it slow standard
Yep.
range or a slow long range Tesla is
Exactly.
a rocket compared to most ICE cars. And look, I've had a performance. Yeah, I'm a bit effluent, so I just wouldn't go for a performance now because I like the extra suspension height for various reasons because of where I
Technology.
drive and stuff and whatever. So, yeah, okay. There's a performance, and what was the other one, Pete? In the inventory?
There's three cars in inventory. So two new ones, one Model 3, one Model Y, and a Model Y.
Yeah, sorry, I was
Model
referring.
3.
Yeah, I was referring to Model
Three.
Ys. There's two
Yeah.
Model
Yeah,
Ys.
okay.
A
So-
performance
yeah.
one and one for about 70 something grand. So
It'll be gone soon.
It'll be gone. Yeah, so the performance might take longer because again, that's a bit more nichey. And the other Y, is it say in transit or is it in stock? It probably says in transit, as they usually do. In any case, these things pop up and disappear almost as quickly these days. So
Yeah, so the advice to anybody that was saying, I'm cashed up for whatever reason, I need to buy my car as soon as possible. If you want to pick up one from the shipment, you'd be doing a daily check of the website.
oh, yeah, sorry, yes, yeah, precisely. Just keep clicking on the website, or better still, go to Tesla, try it, do both. Go to one of the showrooms and say, I want to buy one right now. And look, you may get told, yeah, okay, we'll add you to the list of 15 other people that want to do that. Or they may say, okay, we'll keep you in mind, or whatever. But on the other hand, yeah, just keep clicking on the website. I guess, if you don't mind losing $400 or considering it a insurance policy, just order a Tesla and then actually you shouldn't. I'll rephrase that. As much as someone who hasn't got a Tesla now or an EV now sort of suddenly gets this urge because petrol's so terribly high to go, at all costs I want to buy an EV today. And that's how you feel. But for anyone that does that, please try not to compromise too much on what you're going to buy as far as the color and the interior and whatever. Don't succumb to I'll just get whatever I can get and that'll be good enough. These things aren't a short-term purchase, or should I say, they can last a very long time should you choose to keep it for a long time. So you will long forget about whether you got a car this weekend, next month, or next quarter. What you'll remember is you got exactly what you wanted, you're happy with everything about it, and you're not sort of having this lament of, yeah, maybe I should have waited a month or two and got the color I wanted, or the interior I wanted, or the version I wanted. So, but if there's something that lines up with what you want, and there's bits about it that are different that you don't care about, then by all means, yeah, you can get lucky. My landlord, where I work at work, or the landlord of the factory unit that I rent, one of his employees, his wife actually bought a brand new Model Y. I don't know if it was a YL. It might have just been an ordinary Y. Ordered it 2 Saturdays ago, and has been matched with a car that's on the ship now. So that was just a lucky match. So, you can get lucky if you do a sort of short-term purchase, but you're not going to be able to point at a car and say, I want that one, because Tesla just don't have them at the moment.
We should mention, I meant to say this earlier when you were talking about the speed of the cars. You were referring presumably to the Model Y L, because you mentioned, if you get the speed boost. So obviously you can't get the speed boost with a rear-wheel drive.
Oh, sorry, yes. Yep, sorry, yes. So I should have actually qualified it that I've got a Model Y, refreshed Model Y launch edition, which came prepaid with the speed power boost. It's a long range car, so it's got all-wheel drive, and it takes you halfway between the non-boosted car and a performance car, roughly in acceleration, or yeah, I guess acceleration. The numbers from 0 to 100. But again, like I mentioned before, it seems most of the so-called nobbling between a standard long-range car and a performance, most of the nobbling really occurs at the low end, which is from 0 to 50 or whatever. At the upper end, your overtaking ability and all that sort of, from 80 to 110 k's an hour, that thrust is basically the same. So, like I said, I've had a performance car. There are others in the room that still have a performance car and love it. And yeah, I love my car. I tow caravans with it and scraped my battery pan over rocks and stuff in Tasmania because it's an inch lower than the other cars. It was cool, but I've gone through that phase, and but bearing in mind I've ordered a Cyber Beast Cybertruck, which is the full go as fast as you can in as little time as you can. So I've got no credibility. So anyway.
Yeah. And I drove my wife's Model, Y today, just a standard range, long Tonkin, and I was like, holy shit, I'm already at 100. So
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was a little bit sluggish, but no, even you were surprised.
But yeah, because it was less deceptive, because it was just like a gradual thing, where this, you can feel it, kick you in the chest.
So gradual but relentless. That's the thing,
Yes,
and it sneaks up.
exactly. Yeah. So,
All right, we got some hands up, so we'll
Hands
go.
up,
I
so-
think I saw Mike first, and then we'll go to you, Wayne, straight after. And Mike, you're on. Oh no, yeah, speak, Mike, if you can, unless you're off mic. But we can't hear you.
You can see your lips moving, but no sound, Mike.
That reminds me of an inappropriate joke, which I'm not going to say. No, you're not. Zoom is on. You're on. Your mic is on as far as Zoom's concerned, but your actual physical microphone's not doing anything, Mike. There's too many mics. What I'll do while you sort that out, and feel free to sort of test it by saying hello or something. But Wayne, we'll go to you, and then we'll get back to you, Mike, once you work out what's going on. But Mike, just to repeat that, we can see that you're not on Zoom mute, sorry, but the sound's not coming through. Go, Wayne.
Good to use semaphore. Yeah, thanks, Harold. Hi, Tokwa. Not very exciting questions, but if you don't mind,
No.
I'm searching
Absolutely.
for some pro tips, and I know you've covered them, so hopefully there'll be a quick response. Having a lot of trouble connecting Wi-Fi whilst parked at home, and the signal's very strong on the phone. It's 3 out of 4 bars. I've tried forget network, disconnected, going into the modem, played around with the band. What do they do when they switch the bands between 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz? Anyway, I play with that option as well.
Yep.
Forget network, reboot the modem, all the usual things, all the usual suspects. So what
So,
do you think?
yep. So I know Tesla being an American-based car, I think they generally adhere to the American Wi-Fi bands, and there's one of the upper channels that we use in Australia and our modems in Australia use that Tesla is, at least in America, is forbidden from using, and I forget which one it is, but if you, because most people's modems, the Wi-Fi modems or Wi-Fi routers or whatever, you can set them to automatic, and they will just pick whatever's the most quiet band. But sometimes that might be something that the Tesla specifically cannot hear. I guess the question is, when you go to look at enable Wi-Fi, does your modem's SSID appear in the list?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I checked
So,
also the firewall settings because the default response is try again or check, and it says check for firewall sort of settings. But
okay,
uh,
so do you have a normal NBN type modem, or do
it's
you?
fiber to the home. Good strength. Other
Yep.
devices are all picking it up. Has connected before, but right now it's just not connecting. So it's a temporary hiccup, possibly.
Okay, except that your fiber to the node or whatever
Yep,
modem. So it's not an NBN modem, but it's provided by the NBN,
pretty
and
much.
it's I forget what the brand is. They're all basically the same.
Yeah.
Just check under Wi-Fi for the channels. And I look, to be honest, I haven't even
No,
bothered to
yeah.
work out whether Teslas prefer 4G, sorry, uh,
2.4.
2.4 gigahertz or
5. Yeah.
5.6
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
5. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I thought there might be some case where they might not do the upper band, or I'm not. I can't really remember, to be honest. You can just, the quickest of Google will tell you that,
Yep.
but definitely I know in Australia there are some bands that are permissible in Australia that are not in America, and there was a warning that if you happen to be in this band, whatever it is, your car will not see it. But then you did say that it was in the list, so therefore it can
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Um, and you've told the car to forget the network.
Yep.
My only thought is, has your router or modem or whatever, for whatever reason, decided it doesn't want to play with your car?
Possibly. I've done
Um,
the restart. I could, yeah, Google it, see what turns up, or AI
um,
it, whatever you
try,
want to
try
call it.
things like, because there are some more advanced security settings you can do when you log on that the car
Yeah.
might not be able to do. So,
Yeah.
um, you can have WPS. You can have the button
Yep.
you have a button that you press. Well, I don't think the car can do that. So it's got to be a straight password.
Is
How many
yours a
bars
new
have you got
Tesla?
on your SSID when you have a look?
Oh, can't recall that. But in terms of signal strength, it's good. 3 out of
Yep.
4. You know,
3 out of 4.
the arcing bands. And it's connected before. It's having a bit of a sort of a fit at the moment in the last few
You might
days.
have another instrument in the house that's
Yeah,
causing interference.
right.
I would say that would be it.
Yeah,
Or the modem could have decided to sin bin your car because it had too many uncompleted
clients or
connects or something like that. Or
right.
so, depending on what your modem you've got, is it just literally the Wi-Fi modem on the wall of your house, which is connected
Yeah,
directly to the fiber or to
the router is the Wi-Fi device. You know, it's
Yep,
from
yep,
IINet. I forget the brand.
yep. So
TCP.
just check.
Just put an extended AP in the garage. You'll be fine.
All right. Is that a wide booster?
Yeah, you can have a wide booster.
Right. I'll have
Yeah,
a look at
before
that.
you do that though, I'd be looking at checking that there's nothing in your modem, like not an enhanced, like there's a firewall setting that says something about only accept known clients or something that you might have ticked, or it might
Could
have
be.
been configured on a restart or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Default setting.
I think the main point is you said it used to work and now
Yeah.
it doesn't. So we know that, look, if you've got a microwave oven running, like a cheap one, that'll blare out 2.4
Right.
because they can. And if they're slightly leaky, and I mean, we're talking a microwave can produce 1,000 watts of 2.4 gig. You only need milliwatts or not even probably microwatts to actually interfere. So when we say leakage, it's like of the most minuscule amount
Right.
that can easily blare out if it's running. But of course, the microwave isn't on all the time. It's only on for a very short period of time.
We hate it.
So
we never use it. But
I think the biggest lesson I've ever come across when you do fault finding is you got to go back to the fundamentals. Did it ever work? And if it did, then it's likely that it can work again.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be signal strength, because unless you've extended your house or built something new or something.
I built a carport over it, but it's worked before that was between the
Yes.
completion of that work. So yeah.
So try and go to basics. Try, if you can, temporarily. Look, if you've got, some people have firewall stuff set on their modem, just click it off temporarily, like only for a few minutes, and then see. Try and eliminate all the blocking variables that there could be, because sometimes these.
One.
The other thing I can think of that happened to me, and I'm running an old Telstra modem here, and every so often they patch in to update the firmware.
Right.
And I don't know that's happened unless I actually go in, log into the modem and check the firmware number, which I do because I like to keep an eye on what these rascals are up to. So in that occasion, I just did a cold reboot, turned the power off and rebooted it. I don't know if you've done that, Wayne.
Right.
The modem itself. So you just have to let every other
Try
user
that,
know it's
or
going to be off
factory
for
reset
10
or
reboots.
something.
That happened to me once, and it's particularly because I'm using the 108 megahertz band, because that's the one that my old Model 3 accepts, and it's not a standard one that this old Telstra modem uses. So I've got to tell it to do that. So if they come in and fiddle and reset settings, then I lose things, as in connection. So I don't know if that helps or not.
That's a good tip. Yeah, thank you. I'll try that.
One more thing, talking about going back to basics, this may sound really silly, but the only reason why I mention it is because it did happen to me. So I had a similar situation, and I assumed that my Wi-Fi was working because both my mobile and my laptop, I was, using the internet, but I didn't realise that it automatically went, both my laptop and my phone automatically went to
Ethernet.
Mobile.
Automobile. Oh, right.
Yeah, so just double check that you can see the Wi-Fi symbol.
Yeah.
When you check
all the
internet.
other devices, the cameras and the automatic switches and all that sort of stuff seems to be working fine. So we
that
do
all
have
uses
sort of a
Wi-Fi.
cluster of devices, but who knows? I'll go to the basics and sort of eliminate sort of step by step and try again.
And have a look in the chat. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. And do check for your channels. So it's probably got you've probably got a dual band Wi-Fi. So you got 2.4 gig and 5.6 or whatever.
Yeah.
And saying the 2.4, do check that it's channel 1 or 2 or 3 or something like low down.
Right.
And you can just set those manually temporarily, and then you can later on just go automatic. And usually some of these modems, they'll have a look at 3 a.m. and they'll do a scan. Some of the clever ones will do a scan, and then every day they'll try and pick a channel that's quieter than the rest. If you're in a built-up area, well, like most people live in. Little pro tip, pick a time that's not the default time, because if they're all doing it, there's a chance that you might get wrong information because they're all looking around. So just try a few fundamental things. And like Pete said, just check that everything's running. And do temporarily turn off a firewall if you've maybe enabled it, because it might have just been sin binned, and it's as simple as it's just been.
Wayne, I would think Harold is giving you great advice. It was working, it's not working. Everything else on your network is working.
Yeah.
One thing I'd recommend is restarting the MCU and doing the double press.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because if it's the car that's not working, that it does. I just checked some forums. I said that tends to fix a sticky Wi-Fi.
Oh, right.
Restart the computer unit, which
that's actually good. That's actually a good idea, James.
Yeah, because I think the car is the common denominator here.
Yeah.
Because everything else, even though those cheap switches you can get, they're all fine. They're working well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it could be exactly what James has just. Yeah, that would be. I'd put money on that.
Have you turned it off on again? That's the often.
Yeah.
What people
also
say.
Check. Have a look at the chat. So Mikey has put in there maybe a router firmware upgrade,
Yeah,
set up Wi-Fi to WPA2 security, and it
use
could
that.
be
Yeah.
and it could be potential in IP address conflicts as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that sounds good. One more question, if you don't mind, and the answer might just be FSD software update. But on a trip to Yellingup recently, day trip there and back, I just noticed that the speed limit detection was inaccurate multiple times. Even though
Is
I've
this
been past the
FS?
sign
This
FSD,
is this version 4F? Sorry,
or
modern
whatever's
car
the latest.
FSD,
Yeah,
full
high,
latest greatest.
yeah, latest greatest. There is only one in for us. So yeah, going down to Yellingup and back on one trip. I think someone did it recently or mentioned it the last fortnight ago. It might have been Mike, I don't know, but it was obviously speed signs are well signposted, and it's thought it was 70, but you know it's
Yep.
100 or
Yep.
110.
Mine's only on enhanced autopilot on the 2022
Oh, right,
model.
okay, yeah. So I don't know. It was happening so much that I had to use my right foot a little bit to wake the car up. And I tried pressing the button because I know there's the speed and the detection. Tried the detection sort of circle, didn't really respond to that. I
No,
thought,
no. So modern auto. So FSD version 13 point whatever it is,
Yeah,
the proper
yeah.
FSD
yeah,
in hardware for cars
yeah,
never really adheres properly to the proper speed, being it almost always goes slower in most cases than it should be going. The only thing that is hard coded in C++ language is the maximum speed limit. So when you see it's in blue and you can use your scroll wheel to increase it or decrease it,
yeah,
that is a hard maximum. Well, it's hard-ish. So if you are, say, doing 110 k's an hour and you very quickly slam down that speed using your scroll wheel to much less, the car will smoothly go decelerate down to that speed. That is a hard maximum. There is no hard minimum, or there's no suggested minimum, or there's no suggested target. Everything else that is done in the car as far as speed is done through the neural networks. And that is not yet been resolved, where it does its best to adhere to the posted speed limit, which, for example, you go and one of our members lamented this a couple of weeks ago because she got 2 juicy speed fines in a row.
Right.
Was you go Kwinana Freeway going north, and as you go underneath as you approach the Mill Point Road on ramp, also going north, the speed limit changes before then from 100 down to 80. And even though the actual indicated speed limit sign is the correct 80 k's an hour, let's call it the blue maximum speed limit, doesn't change from 100 down to 80. It just stays at 100.
Yep.
So the car will perversely, in that case, do what it thinks is good, which is stay at roughly 100, which is pretty rare. Other times you've got to keep using your right foot to encourage it to speed up.
Yeah.
And then, this lady got photographed twice in a row and juicy fine, and demerit points. So it's been a known feature of FSD ever since it was first released that it doesn't really often keep up with the proper speed limit, and you have to keep using your right foot to encourage it. It's something Tesla's working on, but they still haven't resolved
I'm
it.
sure it'll be resolved. I'm just curious.
Yes.
Is it reading the signs with
Yes, it does.
vision,
Or
is it using the maps which might have declared sort of speeds, or a bit of both?
it does a bit of both. And in
I think
fact,
sorry, Harold, the detection I think is the issue. Like it thinks
no, it's not
so-
detection. No, it's not detection. So even though it detects a proper sign, it will not adhere to it.
Oh,
Often.
but I'm saying an example would be going past Crooked Carrot. It thinks it's 70. It's clearly 110.
Yep.
I have to use the right foot to wake it up, and it will go there for a while. And I've got the percentage above limit set for 2 or 3K above, but it thinks it's 70, and it will sort of
But use
slowly.
so use your scroll wheel. So make sure that your maximum, the blue number,
Yeah.
which by the way only appears on FSD if you are near that speed limit. If you're
Yeah.
well below it, it doesn't show it. But if you're near it, within a couple of kilometres an hour, near that limit, it'll appear as blue.
Yeah.
And I think it says max as
Yeah,
well.
that's right. Yeah.
So make sure that your max number is 110 or whatever the speed limit actually is.
Yeah.
But your right foot, put it this way, on my FSD lap that I did
Yeah.
in September, I've never had a sorer right foot
Right.
on any lap because every other lap was done in autopilot, and autopilot is generally much better.
Right.
Except Pete and I experienced places where it didn't detect the speed limit sign properly, or you went through roadworks which said 40, and then
Right.
it didn't reset afterwards. So that was kind of frustrating. But
It's not that it didn't. It's not that it didn't reset.
Reaction.
The roadwork.
well, they didn't have like a reset sign. They just said, roadworks ended. Didn't say now you can go 110. Yeah,
Well, they didn't even have that. They just
No.
didn't have anything. So the car.
it just yep.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
So, Wayne, it's absolutely a very much known
Right.
deficiency of the current system
Yeah.
that it really does not adhere to getting up to the correct speed limit at all.
Fair enough.
And you can get misdetections from the camera. But some things that people have got FSD on, I've seen it, you've probably seen it, is even though it doesn't really change the speed limit indicator until you've passed the speed sign, you might notice if you're doing 110 or 100 and you come to a town and there's a speed limit sign in the distance, I've seen my car very often actually start slowing down
After.
as if it's actually seen the speed limit sign.
Oh, right.
It hasn't posted it as on the screen,
Oh,
but it's
right.
seen it and it understands it should be slowing down.
Wow.
It doesn't necessarily slow down enough, but it's putting in the effort.
Yeah.
So there is some advanced behavior, but it's not always consistent. And like I said, the car rarely on the open road keeps up to the proper speed limit. It often sags down at least 10 or
Yeah.
15 k's an hour slower,
Right.
which
All right.
makes your right toe a little bit
Yeah.
sore after a while.
Yeah, it's not relaxing because, on cruise control, active cruise, TAC or whatever it is, it was like set and forget. It'll slow down for obstacles. It was pretty reliable. I guess it's just a catch-up sort of process we're in.
It is,
The gap-
yep,
yeah.
exactly.
The
And a mate of mine actually, he drives between Denmark and Perth, and he just militantly turns it down to just autopilot because he can't be bothered exercising his right foot. So
Yeah.
he'll revert to autopilot. He then goes down the Scarp, and when he hits Armadale, he then, when the car's stopped at traffic lights, then just changes the profile or changes the setting to enable FSD, and then around town it's a lot better.
So you just swap profiles.
Oh, actually, well, that's the pro tip. Set up
Right.
two profiles, one called FSD and one
Life.
called whatever, autopilot. And simply by changing the profiles mid-journey, you can actually change the way your button press activates, whether it's FSD or autopilot. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Cool. Mike, you had your hand up earlier and your
Yeah,
audio
thanks.
was fixed, so
Yeah,
go
sorry
ahead.
about that. For some reason, again, speaking of random things, I check into these meetings using my browser, not the app. And the setting for microphone have got changed to system as opposed to my iPhone, which I use for my camera and microphone. So who knows between last week and this week, so who knows? Anyway, the question. So today I charged, as a couple of other people in chat saw, so I got my little badge for Stupid Earth Day or whatever it's called today. I see a few thumbs go up there, so that's cool. So you've still got time, Harold. If you charge today, you will get a little badge saying birthday.
Oh, can I? Is
I
it?
know,
Would it
I
be
know.
upsetting? Would it be upsetting if I rolled my eyes and went,
Yeah, well, yeah. Those of us with as many badges as you, who cares? But me, I've got 3, now 4.
No, Mike. Sorry to interject, and I'll only do
Yeah,
it very
go.
briefly. I can proudly state that I have 0 badges this year. If it's
Well, that's
rolled
what-
over, I don't know if it has it rolled over for this year yet, or is it?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask the question.
Oh, so go
Am
on.
I correct in thinking then that you only see your collection of badges sometime around the turn of the year, calendar-wise?
I'm going to have a
Because I
look.
can't find any of the badges at all on my app, and neither could one of the sales guys in Tesla when I asked him. So I think it is only at the end of the year, because it says, I think in the instruction it goes, put your charging stats onto the last year and you should see them. But that was in like February or something, and now it's April. They just don't come up at all. I can't see any of them.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I can't see any. What was it under? Supercharging? Because you get the Earth Day.
It should
There's
be
an
under
Earth Day thing.
charging. Yeah, so it's under charging, and like today it has a banner there for Earth Day, or should still have a
Yeah.
banner there for Earth Day. And if you've charged, there you go. Paul's got his up. There you go.
Yeah, that says earn, but it says earn a special badge by charging.
Yeah, so if you charge your card today, you get that badge like some of us have got already.
Right.
There you go.
But-
There's Paul's
okay.
now. There you go. There it is.
Yeah, but that's what Paul's showing is advertising the Earth Day. I've got that too, but I've never charged today, so I don't have the
Yes.
badge. It's just saying, and
Yeah,
you
so I'm
can
just
share
looking
it.
for, I've been to Eton and Bustleton and Carrinup. And I guess I'll go to Coogee and Aussie Park soon. And I was trying to look at my huge collection, but I can't find them. So I think it only comes up at the turn of the year,
Must do.
because I guess
Yeah, but
everybody else is in the same boat.
But actually, Mike, you mentioned a few days, well, last week or whenever, when you went fishing, you did go to use superchargers, so you should have some badges, but you got none at the moment.
Yeah, I can't see them. I can't get
Yeah,
them
okay.
to come up. Yeah, that's the
So-
question.
So maybe there's an exclusion. Maybe Tesla hasn't rolled it over yet or something. Did you supercharge ever last year?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
just one at Carrinup.
Yeah. So my car, I don't see any badges, but I had quite a few from last year, or should I say quite a few? Yeah, I had quite a few, but I've got nothing now. So maybe there's a bit of a changeover period or something.
Yeah, well, maybe it just resets you collect them every year.
Yes.
So unless
Yes.
you do a lap again, you won't have as many this year.
Yeah, but I'll be doing a lap in a couple of weeks, so I'll get some, but I might not. Yeah. Well, that'll be on a different car, so
So here's
It'll-
here's a pro tip then. Whenever you get them up, take a screenshot of your phone so that you've got them for posterity. If you like that sort of thing.
actually, you know what badge I'd love to get, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I visited a WAV network charger, it all worked badge. And an NRMA one, which is even rarer, like that'd be like getting gold. That
Yes.
I visited an NRMA charger and that all worked. Anywho,
Just spec.
yeah, I guess it's a delusional badge. It's maybe by the end of this decade. All right. Anyone else
The
got
unicorn. The unicorn.
the unicorn?
Yeah.
Oi. All right. Anyone else got any questions or comments?
Just a question about
Yes, John.
Starlink. I'm getting Starlink at home in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
As far as upgrades and things with the Starlink equipment, has there been any issues? I heard about IINet before and everything. What about Starlink? Has there been any issues sort of upgrading the car or anything with Starlink?
Oh no, perfectly fine. The only downside with Starlink, with the normal Starlink that we get, is that you can't get a fixed IP address. So if you do anything interesting with port forwarding on anything you're dealing with, that stuff won't really work properly. But there's lots of ways around that if you were into that sort of thing. But as far as a Tesla talking to the Starlink router, are you getting a Starlink Mini or a normal one, John?
Just the house standard one-story house package, yeah.
Yeah, so then you get the little modem that's
Yep.
attached to the Starlink in your house.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, a mate of mine, again, this gentleman that lives in Denmark, he's actually got, because you can get like mesh routers from Starlink, and they're really cheap. They're like
200?
60 something. No, they're
Oh,
like $60 or something each,
okay.
and you can then sprinkle them throughout your house, and they line up as a mesh network, and they kind of like pass the parcel. So you can have extension, and they're all wireless. I think you can wire some together as well. I can't exactly remember, but no, it's a brilliant system. As far as normal consumer stuff like laptops, computers, smart TVs, blah blah blah, cars, it perfect. The only thing is they use what's called CG-NAT. I think is that right, James? I hope I'm spitting the right lingo. Which basically means Starlink doesn't normally give you a fixed IP address, which means you can't do things like drilling back to your house modem to do interesting things,
Okay.
using old-fashioned methods, other than like Cloudflare and other things that you can do. So no,
I
there's
just
no
look forward.
compromise, John. No, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll work really well.
Are you in the metropolitan area?
I'm in Mandurah.
All right.
So it's just a question of how the standard little stand up one inside reaches the garage. Then I'll have to deal with that with mesh
Yes. So
ones if I need to.
and look at Starlink's shop, and you can get this mesh router or whatever, and it's like 60 something bucks. It's really, really cheap. And you just literally turn it on, and it will just mesh itself virtually auto magically. It knows it's in a Starlinky network, and it'll just go, yep, I'm just another node on this network. And then you won't notice any latency or any top, it'll be more than fast enough because it'll talk between themselves faster than the Starlink link to the internet anyway. So there's no, if you're an internet purists say if it's not cable, it's not real. But anything that's wireless is slower and whatever compromised. But in the Starlink stuff, you won't notice it. It'll work perfectly.
So with IINet now, I've had some real funny things happening with IINet. It hasn't been my anything else but IINet ticking around. But I've got a Netgear, just a standard mesh thing in the garage, which increased the signal. So I may have to do that with Starlink as well.
Yeah, and you could punish yourself by getting the Netgear thing to mesh with Starlink or what. It's so cheap, to be honest, the Starlink ecosystem, that see how you go. Do a few tricks. So obviously you're going to have your dish on the roof. Oh, pro tip. When the dishes were motorized, well, in fact, if you go through the installation procedure, no doubt the app will tell you to point your dish in a certain angle, in a certain direction on a post or whatever. Be mindful that the biggest thing that will interfere with Starlink are trees. So depending on where you are,
No trees.
oh,
No
perfect.
trees.
Okay, in which
No
case
issue.
it'll ask you to effectively point it in a southerly direction at a certain angle, probably 30 degrees, because you're trying to catch the satellites that
The most prolific.
there's like a whole belt of them
Yeah.
that is to our south in like a ring around the world at, I don't know, maybe 40 degrees south or 45 or 50 degrees south of the equator. And they're all dense because that's how the sinusoids work, how it orbits. So they generally will point to the south. But if, for example, you had big gum trees to your south, then don't do that. Just point it straight up.
Yeah.
And it'll work fine. Because there are so many Starlink satellites now, there's great service everywhere. And what you don't want is to punish it by having to bend its beam above the trees because you're basically pointing it towards the trees.
Yeah.
So that's just a little pro tip in the Southern Hemisphere is if there's no trees to the south, point to the south. If there are trees, just point it straight up and it'll be fine.
Well, the beautiful assistant on AI support for Starlink told me, set it up first, and then with my Netgear route mesh things, just try them first. She said, just see how it goes first. You may not even have to get a Starlink one.
Exactly. So, and that's great advice. So don't do the hard don't go, right, I'm going to ring up INET and tell them to get stuffed or whatever, and I'm going to boot up my Starlink, and it's going to have to work first time every time. It's
Yeah.
always good. It costs you almost nothing to have them both working at the same time. In fact, you can absolutely do that.
That's what you log on to. Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then you
Yeah.
just see how good it is.
Yeah.
You might get pleasantly surprised. I was going to say, you got to have your Starlink outside, whether it's on your roof or on
Yeah,
a
on the
pole
roof.
or
On the roof.
wherever. You're going to have the cable coming down. You're gonna pre-decide where to put it. You could be strategic, depending on how much you can be bothered dragging it through the ceiling space, that the cable that is, and maybe putting it more biased towards where you want to use it more. Which is like one whole compromise, or just go, no, I'm going to put it somewhere where I want it, like my study or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you just go mesh. And this mate of mine, he's meshed his. He's got four. When you look on the app, he's got like, I think he's got four mesh routers. It's a bit
Yeah.
overkill, but he's got a rammed earth house, so that really attenuates Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And yeah, it works really well, and he can't tell any latency or any issues. It just works.
Well, I've got to leave mine in the study. I've got my
Yep.
solar array and my battery, all those connectors I'll have them on a splitter going into the Starlink one so it can get it all Wi-Fi.
Yeah, on a switch. You have it on a switch. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, so just networking wise, you need to decide. So at the moment, your router might be, there's some NBN stuff or INET stuff. It'll be, the modem will be a router and a switch and the whole everything all in one. If you're going to use, say, Starlink as the internet, and you're going to route it or connect it to like a Netgear something, you've got to decide whether you can turn your Starlink and turn it onto bypass, because you don't really want to have two routers in series. You either want to have one source of internet going into the router, and the Netgear stuff does all the routing, or you say, no, I can now let this happen with the Starlink. And then all you might do is, if you need more Ethernet ports because you've got more physical connections, you just connect what's called a switch, which is not a router. James, unless you want to come in and elaborate simply,
Well,
but I hope I got that kind of right.
I've got the security system and the two, one from the solar and the battery. So I've got three, just to have
Physical.
on a splitter that goes into the Starlink router, because it's
So the splitter is a switch. So you just buy a cheap switch.
Yeah, I have. I've just bought one. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Because effectively a router decides where stuff goes. A switch just looks at the packet and goes, which port is that thing connected to, and just switches it. The router does more of the decisions, and if you have two routers in a row, you can get contention, and it may work, but it might work really badly and slowly and not well.
Yeah, I want to get rid of IONet's going to be kicked into touch once Starlink's set up and working. I'm not going to be paying for bloody $90 a month for IONet as well. You know, that's a bit dumb.
Exactly. Alrighty. Any other questions?
Harold,
Yes.
in the
Steve.
chat, someone has typed out a fairly long question. Would you like to have a look at that? About
Okay, so unable
FSD.
to enable microphone is. I've ordered a new Model Y with FSD outright. I'm just getting cold feet before it arrives to decide if I go ahead with it. Am I mad not
Yep.
to go ahead with it, considering the discount that was offered, or would you recommend a subscription model? Oh, okay. If it ever turns out unsupervised, would assume that we need to pay for that service on top of. Oh, okay. So, I guess the question is, have you got cold feet about buying the entire car at all, or just the FSD part?
I think he's talking about just the FSD.
So, the calculus is fairly simple. Unfortunately, there's a complication with humans, because humans, we are all just if you want to work out how bad humans are and at perceiving things, just ask any good economist, and they'll explain just how poor human behavior is as far as thinking of things in terms of value and sunk costs and all that sort of stuff. On the pure numbers, on the back of an envelope, if you keep your car less than about half a dozen years, if you think you're going to flip it in less than half a dozen years, then it's cheaper to pay by the month, without doubt. If you're going to keep it 6 or 7-ish years, depending on how you calculate the time value of money and and the fact that you're paying some stamp duty on top of the $10,100 you've committed to pay, it may be 7 years just to break even, not to make a profit, just breaking even on the current subscription cost. Now, there's a risk the cost could go up. However, if you look at what they've got in the United States, it's still supervised FSD. In hindsight, you could always, construct once you have all the information of whatever happened over the next 7 years, which is going to be a lot, you could technically go, well, I would have been a couple of $100 better off if I did X or Y. If you are someone who is inclined to think in about 4 years, I want the new shiny Tesla, one thing that is, it's not certain, but at the moment, what happens is if you sell a car to anyone on car sales as a second-hand car, you'll get almost no perceivable more money because you've said this has FSD prepaid. Most people that buy a Tesla at this stage they don't understand FSD, they don't know what its value is or whatever. And so treating it as you've enhanced the capital value of the car for resale, forget it for now. The problem is with humans, you will have forgotten the $10,100 plus the extra stamp duty you will pay for it. You will have forgotten that money that you dumped into it within a few weeks. If you, on the other hand, keep that money and put it in an investment account or whatever, pay off your house loan with it or something useful, you may start going, yeah, but I've got to pay $149 a month. And that's more than my Netflix, that's more than my telephone bill, that's more than lots of things. Is it actually worth it for the drive to work and home and a bit of stuff on the weekend? Humans, we sort of have this weird thing. We hate paying for things each week, but sometimes we just willy-nilly just drop 10 grand on something and forget about it straight afterwards. So I think that's the thing you should think about. Again, if you think you're going to flip that car in a couple of years, you're vastly better off just renting it. You really are. Because at this stage, unless there's a extraordinary event, I know Pete is hoping that any car that has FSD prepaid will suddenly double in value or something weird. But look, it's not impossible, but risk for reward, it's not. I'd count that as low down on the on a probability of most likely events. So yeah, so basically, yeah, just look, and you can easily just tell Tesla, I want to cancel off the FSD purchase and just keep the car, or you could cancel the car. I mean, that's a different decision, but just see how you go.
Speaking of risks, Harold, maybe we should mention, so if you buy FSD outright and then you, whether it's through your own fault or through no fault of your own, the car is totaled, then you've lost $10,100 because FSD stays with the car. Whereas if you paid for the subscription, well, you've only lost, $149 or the prorated amount for that month. So, so there is that risk. There's also risk that FSD the subscription may actually go down, not just up over time, may actually go down. So Harold's of the view that it may actually be free at some point in time.
Yes. So quickly, just to expand on that, I think we are in a transition phase. So it could be the thing is, when Tesla transitions to being able to offer FSD unsupervised, there's two use cases. There's personal use, which is we just go to the pub, the car drives us there, we then get dropped off and we tell the car to go home or do something useful, I don't know, whatever. No, let's just say go home. And then later on, we're half drunk or we're over caffeinated, whichever way you go, and you get the car to pick you up. It's all personal use. Unsupervised becomes more valuable to the user, so maybe Tesla might, if you're renting it, might want to increase that cost. If it's used for like robotaxi, it doesn't matter because they can actually offer FSD for free, and all they do is they take a cut because FSD will only ever be usable through the Tesla platform because that's the only way you can get the car to go somewhere and deliver someone to somewhere as a service. It's not like you can suddenly go, oh, I'll just get a thing, I'll just hook it up to Uber and it'll just work. It's like, no, Tesla is the ecosystem. And when Tesla's the ecosystem, it can just simply say, for every kilometre that's driven or whatever it is, there's a profit sharing regime, and that the actual cost of FSD is immaterial. They either take it as a lump sum per month or a percentage of your ongoing turnover. So, and then I believe, just like I've mentioned many times, ABS in the 1970s, co-developed by Bosch and Mercedes-Benz, was horrendously expensive in the absolute dearest cars in the 1970s. In Australia, for at least the last 10 years, it's been a mandatory requirement to have a new car licensed in Australia is for it to have ABS, full stop. And it goes without saying, that's not a surcharge, that's for free. It's part of the car. And FSD, probably in less than 10 years, would probably be almost mandatory by then, because it'll be so convincingly much safer that it'll be required. And if it becomes required, the price may be, at this point, maybe a little bit lowish. Maybe it might go up a little bit for a little while, then it might go back, and then it might go down, down, down to nothing. So that's just a little bit of an explainer for that.
Now, we should mention, so you've heard, a lot of some pros and some cons, but both Harold and I have bought our FSD outright. So, so that's our disclaimer. So whether that's rational or not, that's what we've both done.
Yeah, because I just, well, anyway, I bought 10 cars, so what can I say? And paid for FSD and never gotten it on one or two of them, so yeah.
There's also the other option, and that's your opportunity cost, is what else could you do with that money? So one of the things you could do is buy Tesla shares with that money. So, or any other shares, but not advice, just an option.
And actually, let's scratch that itch, because there's some really exciting stuff, and I highly recommend.
Cheers.
The simplest, yes, right. The simplest is look up a YouTube channel called Solving the Money Problem. It's by a gentleman called Stephen Mark Ryan. He's Australian.
And don't play it too loud. Don't play it too loud if you're in the office
or with kids.
With kids.
His language is fruity. He's unapologetically Australian. Well, not Ocker, but he's very much Australian. His latest video was it today? I'm pretty sure it was today. Was him mainly reading Alexandra Merz's, also known as Tesla Boomer Mama on X, her post which was, and I think I alluded to this last week, where she was having an interaction on a Brighter with Herbert show with Larry Goldberg, who explained to her the benefits of having a merger, merging two companies by a process called a merger of equals. And to be honest, if we roll this back to being a shareholder or what you could do with that money, what Larry always knew and Alexandra has now come to learn is it's all but certain that Tesla will merge as an equal with SpaceX, which means if you own Tesla shares, you'll effectively, let's call it, lose half your shares, half your Tesla shares, and gain the same amount in SpaceX shares.
Oh.
But the synergies that will come about are just, and not financial advice. I'm not saying it's going to 10 bag because that's probably conservative, and I mean that with my tongue in my cheek. It's not financial advice, but the synergies are off the planet, and that's actually literally as well, because they're going to put satellites and all that sort of stuff up. So it's, do yourself a favor, watch that Stephen Mark Ryan video, or you could just go to Alexandra Merz's, aka Tesla Boomer Mama's post on X. It'll probably be her pinned post or one of her very latest posts, talking about a Tesla and SpaceX merger of equals. And again, not financial advice, but tax-wise, it's great because you don't have to sell down Tesla shares and make capital gains, presumably, and pay tax and rah. I think it's mainly known or presumed that in a merger, there's no tax event. It's like you sold your shares and then bought SpaceX, but you didn't actually have to do that. And I know some Tesla shareholders may be nervous about involving SpaceX, but they are both on a tear. John, you mentioned you're going to get Starlink. What SpaceX is doing with Starlink is only the beginning. And in fact, that even dovetails well because Tesla has just recently released their patent. And Robert Rosenblum, who was a Talking Tesla original, he actually sent me a text. I haven't even had time to read it, but I believe it's an antenna that's like a strip that I think goes above your windscreen or in the back part, and that will mount in Teslas. And that's a brilliant idea. But what SpaceX is doing with Starlink hasn't even scratched the surface. I think they've got 8 million. No, it might not be 8 million. I might be exaggerating. They've got millions of subscribers, and they're adding roughly 27,000 every day. Every single day, they are producing nearly 30,000 terminals, and they're all going to new customers. It's just astounding. And what Tesla is doing with Robotaxi and Optimus and the joint Terafab, and what SpaceX is doing with Starlink, Starship, and reducing orbital costs or costs to launch a kilogram of mass to orbit would have been considered 20 years ago to be literally impossible, no matter what. And again, just watch Stephen Mark Ryan's video on solving the money problem, today's video, and enjoy the ride.
Starlink surpassed 10 million subscribers a couple of months ago in February. So you were
in the right order of magnitude. Yeah, I was asking being conservative. Yeah, so and the great thing is you'll actually hear on the Australian thing is at the moment that a lot of the telcos are fighting each other. I think Vodafone is suing Telstra for overclaiming its mobile phone coverage maps and all that sort of stuff. The funny thing is, by probably the end of this year or sometime next year, every single handset that's compliant in Australia will have voice mobile phone service over the entire continent via satellite. All of them. Every single standard modern phone will work in the middle of nowhere via Starlink, out of the box.
Well, it doesn't now.
No, but it does. What it does do, Carmen, and I've tested it personally, and I don't know, James, if you ever got the chance to try any little tests, but if you are in a black spot in the middle of nowhere with your current Telstra and Optus service, you can text. As long as your phone is outside of your car, so you're out in the open, and you can send and receive text messages anywhere in Australia. That's got a view of the sky via Starlink today. And coming very soon, if it's not already here, you'll very soon be able to use voice, and some more video streaming and a few lighter services, effectively anywhere on the planet, but certainly in Australia.
Well,
So,
I don't know. My Telstra account phone often doesn't work in the streets, and I'm connected and pay.
yes.
And if there's no Wi-Fi, it drives you crazy.
Yep. So, SpaceX they were at a conference or a trade show in Barcelona, I think it was. And they were,
Barcelona.
and they were spruiking, and they were spruiking that they actually had they said I don't know if they were able to do it with your phone in particular. I think because they were in a certain area, they could, maybe you had to connect to a website or something to make your phone do something, and they could demonstrate it. Or maybe they just had demonstration handsets where it was voice and video calling direct to the handset, because it had a special license to do testing. And what they're saying is, even in Europe, which is hugely dense with people, that if there are certain sporting events, they could actually augment the local network on the ground via satellite to help the telcos out. And of course, they don't do that for free. They're going to get a fee for it, and the telcos will happily pay for it. So they're even talking, if you're in a stadium or something and everything's swamped, then you'll be getting some services via satellite.
But
and it'll
in
be
Spain,
seamless.
you can get Wi-Fi free everywhere. You can go to a service station, cafes.
Yep.
It's not a problem. Here, it's a problem.
Yes. So that's but Starlink is tackling that. And like I said, today, if you take your mobile phone, let's call it a Samsung or a whatever Google phone and an iPhone, in the middle of nowhere in Australia, and there is zero service, what will happen is the icon will change and it'll say SpaceX Telstra or SpaceX Optus, and it'll be via SpaceX. And I think you can do some X posts. You can use Messenger. No, what's the other one? WhatsApp, I think, messages. And you can send text messages from your standard phone, and it just works in the middle of
certainly
nowhere.
WhatsApp works better than normal line.
Yeah, exactly. So
somebody's doing something.
yeah, so that's the principle. So SpaceX. So a lot of people talking about a merger go, yeah, but Tesla hasn't really gotten its full market cap given everything that's just around the corner, like robotaxis. For example, we had a supervisorless, unsupervised robotaxi running around in the streets of Dallas, and another one running around in Houston. So they've technically launched or trialed or are trialing robotaxis in 2 new cities. And they did it on the same day. It was the 19th of April. So obviously, on the presumption that we presume that robotaxi is going to be successful, then obviously once the market realizes that, then they'll start working out how much income they're going to make. So the rough measure is, for every brand new car Tesla sells, they make between $3,000 and $5,000 on the sale of that car.
Wow.
There are numbers that for a cybercab or a robotaxi, for every car they create and they put to work, that can earn between $30,000 and $50,000 per annum for the rest of its life. And that's compared to building a car and getting $3,000 or $5,000 once ever.
Yeah, which is not much anyway.
To producing something for a lesser cost, not selling it, but you basically in 6 months you get back your production cost. It's sort of like, well, it's like printing money, and it's once the markets realize this is not just a theory or an aspiration, but a fact, and it's happening and it's working, then of course the market in the long term is a weighing machine, and it will have to weigh that, just like they did with Nvidia. If you bought an Nvidia share 5 years ago, Nvidia's market capitalization 5 years ago is roughly what their earnings are today. So their backwards price to earnings or forward price to earnings of 5 years ago was 1. You bought a share for $1, and then 5 years later, you would get $1 back every year for that $1 share, which is kind of a good deal. So Tesla will, providing everything works the way it's expected, just with Robotaxi, let alone Optimus. And then if you talk about SpaceX and Tesla, we already know that SpaceX is intending on renting CPU time on idle Teslas from Tesla owners, and say, if you allow us to use your idle hardware, FSD hardware on your car while it's parked and plugged in, we will pay you X amount of dollars per month for that service. So you can make money while you're sleeping and your car's parked in your garage. So it just makes perfect sense for these two companies to finally merge and really be the world's most dominant technology megalith of all time, ever. So,
well, there's no doubt about that, I don't think, but there is a lot of hurdles to cross. In the meantime, we just want our Teslas to drive properly, not do anything of their own volition, and have a larger font that I can read easily.
You can click on that.
So Carmen, have you actually gone to the larger font? Have you tried that on your car? So if you go to
it's just the color, I think.
No.
Sorry.
So go to display. So hit the menu. Hit menu. Go to display. And then you scroll down, and towards the bottom, I think it is, there's a little button that says large font or something, larger font.
Oh, okay.
Text size.
Font size, and you press that, and what it'll do is it'll say the display needs to reset. So it'll just blink off for not even a couple of seconds, and when it comes back, almost all the fonts are bigger. It's really good.
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, because my wife, I did it on my car. I jumped in my wife's car because I had to borrow it. In her car, even though it was my profile, it was set to the standard font, which is quite small. Yep. I just changed it to the big font, and it's not, I wouldn't say twice as big, but it's significantly bigger. A lot easier to read.
Oh, good. Okay, I can do that. So I bought, as an update on my driving, I went to Charge Hub. I went to Bunnings. I bought the lead, the T2 to T2, 7 meters, 22 kilowatt, because the 5 meter is only 11 kilowatt. So I bought the 7. I did it all. I went back to Charge Hub, and it worked beautifully.
Perfect. Yep.
But the first time it worked, and I got an invoice, and everything was perfect. So I was very happy. The second time I charged, something came up to say from, I think it was Deft wanting to connect to Tesla and give permission for something or other. And I thought it was part of the charging system. So I I clicked yes and got Tesla to give authority to have a look at the history of my car and charging. And then I panicked and I thought, no, I don't like the sound of this, so I'm going to delete it. So
Yep.
I did delete it. But what on earth is it?
I think it's just an analytics thing that they just sort of collect. So it's just sort of like, just say no. You don't need that for the charging thing.
No.
Just part of that. It's
So
just
you're-
separate.
And
You're right.
and Tesla gave authority. And then I thought, but this doesn't make sense. I don't want other people to know my history of charging. And
Exactly.
because they could have third parties and all of that sort of stuff.
Yep. So
So
just
I did
delete it.
take it off.
They don't need it. It's just a nice to have. You can even set yourself up as a dummy. Like when I did it, I just set myself up as a dummy. That's a Model 3. That gave no extra information because they don't need that.
No, well, they asked all these questions.
Yep. I just went,
Just say
and-
no. Just say no, Carmen.
exactly.
Just,
Yep.
just say no.
Well, they were very clever because they said to obtain discounts and to have a lesser
Don't
payment
bother about it.
price,
Yeah.
you need to fill in all these details,
Yep,
and it's
yep.
the car, the brand, the year,
Yep.
the whole
No.
the whole thing.
No.
And I
You
thought,
know why?
You're the
You know
product.
why, Carmen? Because they're getting paid by third-party
Yep.
companies to agglomerate data
Yep.
and try and sell products or sell
Exactly.
insurance or sell whatever. It's
Yep.
whenever something is given to you free or as a discount, usually you're the product.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
they're
just say
only
no.
like- It's
No,
only like a couple of guys.
I went,
okay.
I went through the system because it said that Tesla had to authorize. So I thought, oh, well, if there's anything dodgy, they probably wouldn't authorize.
No,
And
delete
they
it.
authorized it all. And then I thought about it and I thought exactly the same thing because I don't subscribe to third parties, anything. And I cancelled it immediately.
Yeah, good. No,
Yeah.
all good. Yeah, they're only like a couple of guys over east. It's a small software company, and they're going to get replaced anyway.
Okay.
For a WA one, the guys that did the install of the chargers are going to do their own, and it'll
Yes.
just be local. So if there's an issue, then it'll get answered straight away, sort of stuff, as opposed
Okay.
to something over east. But that'll probably be a 6-month thing. But yeah, like you said, delete all the crap, start
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
and you'll be right.
So the car's working, but it seems to be a delay on instructions, although I drive a lot to Stirling and Innaloo, and the roadworks there are very confusing for anyone, let alone the car. So, but the sometimes it gives a left instead of a right or a right instead of a left. And then, but the instruction is when I'm too close to change lanes.
Yep.
So I think there's some sort of delay.
Oh, so Carmen, okay, so firstly, if you're going around Stirling, if you're going near anything like Sedgwick Street or the freeway or whatever,
Yeah,
all that
I am.
all that stuff is different to what it.
Mm.
The thing with Tesla is the map you see on the screen is provided by Google.
Okay.
The traffic information, I'm pretty sure, is also provided by Google. The actual planning of a route is done by TomTom using data from OpenStreetMaps. So the classic example is the Bunbury bypass. The TomTom maps or the OpenStreetMaps, that data is actually now about 13 months old and hasn't yet been updated. And that doesn't use an online live map data. It uses stored navigation data. So that's out of date. So that's the issue with going through Stirling and Sedgwick Street and all that. The car will think you've got to turn. In fact, if you come from the hills and you want to go south on the freeway near Sedgwick Street, the map thinks you need to do the old right turn, which is the old way. That was the temporary way to do that.
Yeah.
And now there's another temporary way that you go left instead.
Yeah.
and that gets you sort of there as well.
Mm.
But both of those things are temporary, and there'll be a proper thing eventually.
Well,
So
look, they're very big roadworks. I can see that it's a
yeah,
massive project.
so
And
if you're
I don't
navigating,
think
it'll be
it's
wrong. Now,
Yeah.
the other thing you mentioned was it often gives you advice late. So, and that can happen very much so. I find it. I always turn the verbal guidance off when I'm
Right.
in a familiar place like Perth. But if I'm doing a lap, I've learnt from experience it's best to turn it on, because the verbal information can be more than the visual information, because it actually tell you things like in 300 meters,
Yes. Yeah.
prepare to turn left or something like
There's a
that.
warning.
Whereas the visual one, it kind of suddenly darts off,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh no, now I've missed it. So when I'm in an unfamiliar area, I'll leave the verbal stuff on, even though it's a little bit annoying, because you're less likely to miss something than just relying on the little visual. You sometimes get like what's upcoming on the screen, but the verbal can be better.
I don't know if I've clicked something wrong, but it's using a lot of power when it's idle in the car park. And
What do you mean idle? So when you say idle, you mean parked, or do you mean when you're parked sitting in the car?
No, parked overnight.
Oh, so yes, that's because, okay, so the thing that gobbles up energy from the battery overnight or whenever it's parked somewhere standing still is Sentry mode. So Sentry mode will use about 450, 600 watts continuously. And when you multiply that by 24 hours, that can be, on a standard range car, can be up to 10% of your battery per day, which means in 10 days, you're kind of flat.
Well,
So with Sentry mode active.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
So-
But it's been giving me a lot of warnings of extended, you know, when the camera comes on when someone's looking at it.
Yep.
And
So it'll say Sentry mode has been on for an extended time.
yes, that one. Yeah.
Right. So what you do, and if that's when you're at home, what
Yeah.
you do is, oh, Paul, what's the setting? What's the menu? Is it security or something? What's it for Sentry mode to turn it off? To set it
Sentry mode.
to ignore home. Turn off at home.
Is it
What
safety?
menus?
Safety.
Might be safety. So
It's,
Carmen, you
it's
hit.
safe. It's safety. It's safety on the
Exclude
car
home.
screen. In the app, it's under security.
Yeah, don't do the
Yes.
app, because the app is external. You want it in the car. So
Yeah.
in the car, you go menu, safety, and then you see where Sentry mode is. Don't turn it off. Just say, tick the box that says exclude home.
It's
And-
just that I wanted it at home because, and I
Well,
think
okay,
also
that's the
when I
price you
signed
pay.
up
Okay,
for
so
premium-
Carmen, it's going to cost you 10% for a 24-hour period at home if it's enabled.
Yeah.
The cost is roughly 10% of your car's capacity per day.
Yes, it's doing that. And what happened is when I upgraded to Spotify Premium so that I could see the cameras, because I'm in a communal car park and there's a few idiots around,
Okay.
and I
So-
wanted to have a look.
Yep.
But it
Okay. So
doesn't tell you
so
that.
this is your choice. So the cost is the cost per unit. So if you charge at Kings Park at the correct time, it's
Yeah,
37 cents a
wonderful.
unit. So
32.
31
No,
at 1 p.m. I've done.
Oh, Kings Park. Sorry.
Kings
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah.
So, but let's call it, look, even if you're charging at home on the standard rate, let's call it 30 cents. And if you're consuming roughly 6 kilowatt hours a day, it's costing you $1.80 per day.
Yes.
Now, that's costing you $600 a year in, let's call it, camera security. Now,
Yes.
if you're happy with that, then it's cool. Just keep doing what you're doing. But that's the reason why every 24 hours that your car sits not being used, it'll cost you a couple of dollars in charging and about 10% of a standard range Model 3's
No,
pack.
I'll have to turn it off because I'm in Subi. I'm now walking everywhere and I'm taking the train to the city, to the movies, and not using the car as much.
Yep.
And I've noticed a very big change. And
Yep.
so that's what it is.
Carmen, there is another variable. So if you park the car somewhere near where there's a lot of people walking past or there's a lot of activity,
Yes.
the car Sentry system will use more power.
Yeah.
If you park it in a quieter spot where there isn't much activity and the cameras don't have to turn on multiple times over and over, then it will use, even as much as half as much power as it would otherwise. Just on standard.
That explains it, because yes, I'm in the middle of a heap of cars, and they come and go all day long.
And Carmen can't move because she's got an allocated base. So
Yeah.
she's in a fixed location that is just subject to whatever the environment is.
One option is, Kamal, is you could put a car cover over the car, and so you can then either turn Sentry mode off, or if you still wanted to have peace of mind, you could leave it running with the car cover over the cameras. So it will still use power, but it will use a lot less power because it's not picking up all that activity because the cameras are blinded effectively. So the only times you'd see something is if someone tried to lift the cover up.
Yeah.
Or if someone smashes into the car, Pete, if they just glance, it might not be detected. So Carmen's decision is, let's call it greater peace of mind as far as detecting something happening is costing $2 a day. And probably more importantly, rather than the money, it's the inconvenience of maybe you haven't used the car for 3 or 4 days and it's kind of nearly half flat.
I went to use it and I didn't have enough range.
Yep. So this is a classic first world problem. You have the choice because unfortunately, speaking of which, in New South Wales, I believe they're bringing out state legislation which is titled something along the lines of the right to charge. And that is to do with strata companies. And they are bringing in legislation in New South Wales that basically stops strata companies from refusing to allow you at your own expense to install charging equipment in a strata building.
Complex. Yep.
So it stops this insanity or this Luddite notion of we don't like it because we've got petrol and rah rah rah. The strata companies in New South Wales will be forbidden from using their standardised bylaws or obstruction and whatever. The rule is if you pay for it. Sorry, if the tenant or the property shareholder, whatever they call it when you've got a part of a strata thingy, that person, as long as they pay for it, they are presumed entitled to be able to get it done at their expense.
It probably won't apply to older properties.
This does apply. No, this does. No.
Oh, that's
this is the whole point because in fact,
it's both
newer
existing
stratas,
and new.
Yeah, so newer buildings actually, as part of the Australian Construction Code, whatever it's called, they have to actually be provisioned or be able to be provisioned for charging in any case. But it's all the old stuff.
But the strata company could still prevent you from
try and block you. Yeah. So now it's all strata things in New South Wales. The presumption is yes, you are allowed to. Then it's all just a matter of paying for it.
Yes.
And there's still a possibility that you might not have the capacity, so you have to maybe go, okay, some of us will band together and we'll get more power put into the building at our expense. But the strata company will not be permitted to say no. That's the main breakthrough for New South Wales.
I'm giving them hips at the moment because the car park is very dirty. And I swept my bay and took a photo of the soot and the pollution, which is very bad for your health. And I pointed out that my car is healthier than all of the others.
Yes.
And therefore they have to clean it. So at the moment, I'm getting back at their old fossils and saying, well, you have to pick your game up because this is disadvantaging my car. Also, if I wash it, within 2 days, just being parked there for 24 hours, it's full of dust.
Come and look at every single pipe, because if you're in a Undercroft car park,
Yeah.
you've got all the sewage pipes and stuff,
Yep,
drainage
yep,
pipes.
yep.
You look at the top of the pipe and it's all black.
Yeah,
It's got the little black sprinkles on it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's pretty gross.
yeah.
Yep.
And I've said, well, unfortunately, it's all your cars that are creating this, so you have to do something about it. So I don't know, it's all just rubbish. But it's like everything else the government does. Really, they put out all these big notices and schemes, but they don't see it through, and they don't help people to accommodate the needs, and they don't follow up. So people just do it at their own pace if they want to, and if they don't want to, they find a reason not to.
Yeah.
So
James, and feel free to just pipe up, James, if you like. But actually, yeah, why don't you just speak to what you wrote in the message in the chat for the benefit of people watching online.
Yeah, the basic thing is that New South Wales has passed the law that the owner must get all the work done themselves, pay for the work they've done themselves. Strata can only say no on reasonable grounds, and they must be putting in writing. If you would disagree as the person putting it in, you can go to their version of the SAT and go against it. So you can't have any bylaws that unreasonably block EVs charges have no force or effect on the law. So if your strata says no EV charging, and it applies a bylaw, you can't. So it just means that you have the right to pay for an installation. You can pay for it. It can be in common area. So like, obviously, it'll have to come from your power. But it'll have to be piped across, come from your meter, but they'll have to be conduit in the common area. That's allowed. A charge can be anything from a normal 10-amp plug, 15-amp plug, or an actual charger. So like most people will just get away with a 10-amp plug or a 15-amp plug.
Well, there's 2 chargers here in the commercial area. They've left that way, and there's no tenant yet.
No.
But the thing is that they've been a little bit cagey. At first, they said flat no, and it's all the silly reasons, which I dispelled and gave them evidence that they were not correct. But now they say and I called their electricians who set up the meters to have a chat to them. So they went direct to the people and said, no, you can't do that. And they blocked them from helping.
Yeah. So like anything, like in a strata where I've got a unit, there's a problem with the power coming in. Some people want to put in some new air cons, but there's not enough power coming to the site. So we have to fund an upgrade, which is about $30,000 to allow. So there rightfully you say, well, no, you can't have an EV, but also you can't have an aircon. You can't have a higher, anything big like that. We've got to put some money into the funds, and that's what would be considered a reasonable objection. Because it's just not possible. But in that circumstance, if you said, I'm just going to put a 10-amp plug in,
yes,
then they'd be fine.
Yep. Well, it would solve the issue overnight. It would probably help with, but they're just not, because they're not in the right space of mind, they'll probably charge $1 a kilowatt or something silly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got the right now to take anything. You can ask them for writing. So can you please put your objections of what the reasons are in writing, so I can answer them, and you can take it to SAT. Here, which can overrule everything. However, you've said in the past you're only there for a few years.
Yeah.
So if you're there for,
hopefully it'll be only about another 15 months or so.
Yeah.
So it's probably not. It'll probably take that long to get into SAT.
And the difference is that SAT, in the New South Wales SAT, the presumption is it has to. If they object, it's going to be reasonable. All that their SAT has to do is go, no, it's a BS excuse.
Yeah.
or you're just blocking because you don't like EVs or whatever, or you're
Yeah.
using some pseudoscience or some allegation or some popular myth or something. But in WA, there isn't that legislation that
No.
has the presumption of you can only block on a reasonable objection. Here, there's no reasonableness test. So it could be hard. I mean, look, it could be easy or it could be harder because SAT would have to go.
There's no follow-up. I have reported it to Landgate, Consumer Protection, and
Well, you're not buying a product, Carmen. That's the thing.
No.
The Australia's not selling you something, so
every
Consumer
lead,
Protection won't do it.
where every lead, well, it's a service though. It's a service. And
No, but they're
against
just
consumer law.
But they're just choosing not to provide you a service that they don't have to provide. There's no law that says they have to provide anything.
No.
But anyway, the little bit of
but Harold, Carmen bought the apartment, so she bought a good, and as part of buying that apartment, she's got a reasonable expectation that she should be able to charge her car if it's
no.
Because there wasn't any EV.
There was no charger
when I
there
bought it.
originally, Pete. It's not like they removed it. It wasn't never there in the first place.
No, but what I'm
There's-
saying is so it's reasonable for her to think that she should be, there's power there, there's charges there already, so it's reasonable for her to think that she should be able to put one of her own.
No,
in there.
no.
Yeah, but
Look, Carmen might
Pete's
think that
saying-
Carmen might think that she wants to have 1 terabit NBN fiber to her apartment because it's nice to have. And these days, if you want to do some serious compute, maybe that's what you want to have. That was never there at the apartment in her unit.
No,
You know,
but
I don't think I could.
That's fine,
pay
but if Carmen is willing to pay for that 1 terabit connection, and it can be technically put in there, and there is no reasonable ground for the
Yes, there is.
starting-
No, because I can say, well, that would require you to clip the fiber optic cable under the undercroft, and there's a conduit, and there's clearance limits, and you've got to put
No.
penetrations into the slab.
No, what
they'll
they're
pick any
saying-
excuse that they
Yeah,
want.
they do. But
And they'll say, I tell you what, you come to our next annual general meeting, which is unsurprisingly in 11 months' time, and then you raise it, and then we'll
what they
think
said.
about voting on it, and they can just block you because they'll say, this is a major upgrade. This is we need to consider it carefully. Rah.
Interestingly, under the New South Wales legislation, if the strata company gets 3 months to reply, and if they just ignore you and don't reply, that is deemed to be approval.
Yes.
So no reply after 3 months equals approval.
And
So
hence,
what we're
that's the
saying, Pete,
solution.
Pete is correct in saying, like, you should be able to do this, and it's the right thing to do. But the difference is here in WA, the burden of proof, the burden of evidence, the burden of all the figuring out why it should be done, how it should be done, is on Carmen.
Yes.
Whereas the New South Wales flips it to say, no, we know, follow the regulations, follow the rules, get a licensed electrician to do it. It's okay. The burden of proof and to block it is on the strata. It's
They
like just
even
move- it
want
flips the-
they even want a written permission from the fire brigade. And I said, why? What your car should have a permission. Show me all the other letters for all the other vehicles because they're more dangerous than EVs. But they don't get that.
Exactly. That's actually a perfect comeback. Is okay if you require that for an EV, then have all the other tenants had to do that for all their petrol cars, which are 20 times more likely to catch on fire?
They just ignore that.
But Pete, for the benefit of everyone else watching, what you're saying is correct in principle, but the way the mechanics work is, if you said no, if Carmen went, I'm just going to take it to SAT because I'm not happy. SAT goes, so what are the standard procedures of your strata company, and what are the bylaws?
Yeah.
And they will say the standard procedure is if we deem it to be a major thing, then it ought to be considered at an annual general meeting. That's put it off in 11 months' time. End of story. Because in WA there is no.
There is a law in WA that says there is no need to have a total consensus. The Council of Owners can call a meeting anytime to decide this. It's actually written in WA law.
So you could call for an extraordinary meeting to vote on this item.
You're allowed to actually.
And
The law says that.
And one thing that could actually hold water with the State Administrative Tribunal is, I think I shared that with you some time ago, which was the WA State Government's position paper on EV charges, including strata apartments, etc., strata units. And I think in that they suggested at least one 10 amp per car park.
Every property is entitled to one 10 amp power point to be used, and that doesn't interfere with the load of electricity required, because at first they said, oh no, that means that it will rob the electricity from being used. And I said, well, I don't know how, because I'm up till midnight every day, and I've gone outside and had a look at the lights in the windows, and no one else is up. I'm the only person up at midnight, and I would put my car on charge from midnight till 7 a.m. So there is no drag on power at that time.
But Carmen, you could make that same argument about someone buying a fridge, which arguably could use just as much power, you know, depending on how much you're charging. So, you know, is the strata company going to get people, you know, require approval to put a fridge in because it could upset, you know, the load? Yeah. So,
no, but these people aren't reasonable. They're just
so putting a pin in the whole
old, stale, and pale, and they won't do anything.
So to put a pin in it, the little glimmer of good news potentially for WA is often states will get inspiration, or they'll eventually often do what all the other states are doing if it's usually a good idea. So at least New South Wales, to their credit, has started this.
Not exactly, because Landgate is the regulator, and Landgate has no power to do anything.
No. But Carmen, what New South Wales has done is they have said there is overarching legislation that says that the presumption, like James described, is the worst they can delay is 3 months. If they just ghost you for 3 months or just say no, then you can go straight to and they can't come up with a reasonable objection. And this is not pseudoscience. This is some weird reasonable objection. Then they don't have a leg to stand on. You will then be deemed to be permitted to do it. And if they literally say no, you probably do like a trivial application to the SAT, which should probably be as a class of objection, which is, you know, the strata didn't come up with a proper objection or no objection, and they just ignored you. We will just rubber stamp it very quickly, you know, because there are things in SAT that are difficult to deal with. Other things, they just go.
The trouble is, the strata manager is
but Carmen, this will be finished. This will finish, because if we get the same legislation in WA, which we should, then the strata can do whatever they like. They can shout. They can just go, we just don't like EVs, Carmen, or we don't like this, or because or cause. But that is clearly not reasonable. No. So then you would win at SAT, and I dare say, I don't know how SAT works, but if there was any cost you incurred, I would presume that some cost would go against the strata, and they only have to be dumb once, and then they get burnt, and then that's the floodgates are open.
Forget that the strata is made up of the owners.
I know, but that's not what the old codgers in the strata body think of it. They think of it as their little fiefdom, and they're kind of the arbiters of what should be going on. But hey, let's put a pin in it. For your case, Carmen, you'll be been and gone, and it'll be all over. But for people that follow you, as in your footsteps in the future, it'll be much brighter for that sort of thing.
I know, but you know, the people that run this are pretty average. They said you can't make structural changes, and I said this is not a structural change. A PowerPoint is not a structural change, and they maintain it is.
Yeah.
And so you can't
Yeah.
win with them.
All right. We're basically at our bedtime. We've done our 2 hours. So has anyone got any closing questions or comments?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question on your driver profiles.
Yes.
So I've got a Model Y rear-wheel drive and 2022 one.
Yep.
There's 4 of us that drive the car.
Yep.
And the father-in-law is the main account holder. So with the driver profiles of different phones and that, the seat positions and temperature and that seems to set in. Does it do the media? So like if the wife listens to one station and the mother-in-law listens to
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't, because I know this because I hopped in my wife's car this morning with my profile and it was on some commercial FM station. And that's not what I ever listen to or use. So I had to then go and hit Bluetooth and then stream Bluetooth from my phone. So the short answer is no. Profiles don't change media settings. They persist with whatever was used last.
Yeah.
But you can easily change it yourself.
Yeah, like when you, I believe, hop in another Tesla, your profiles and settings and that go with you.
Yes.
So if I was to get into a different car,
well, as long as you've been given access, you've got to be an authorized driver. Yes, it will stick. So all your seat positions and all that stuff will generally stick pretty well. There can be variances between a Model 3 and a Model Y. It doesn't always work perfectly, but media stuff doesn't fully stick. It doesn't fully come across. So look, I listen to ABC, although most of the time I actually do it through Bluetooth, but I hopped in my wife's car, it was playing FM radio, and I then just went and clicked on the Bluetooth and then streamed from my phone, which is what I normally do. So, and I don't think there are multiple Spotify accounts. I don't think it's as clever enough to do your own Spotify account if that's what you've got on a profile. I don't think that sticks.
No, because I drive my son sometimes, Simon's car, and no, the settings are set. I just change them manually, and before I leave, I change them back again. It does hold the seat and the name and the steering wheel and the phone.
Yeah, and your temperature and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. I think media, they just haven't got that far to do that preciseness. Yeah.
All right.
It's a bit much for people, though.
And the thing is, it just shows no matter how much Tesla innovates to do lots of cool things, there's always one extra thing that people go, can you make it remember my Spotify thing? Can you make it remember my YouTube account, my Netflix account, blah, blah, blah. Some of that stuff's pretty tough, but
actually, what does premium actually give you? Because I haven't found much other than the cameras that light up outside the car.
Yes, and it'll give you the visualization of how bad the traffic is on the map, as opposed to not, or maybe that's wrong now. To be honest, you can easily live without it because you can just stream off, you can just tether off your phone and still access things on the car.
Because I don't watch TV or use any of the gadgets, so I don't see the value in it. I have got it.
Yeah.
I thought I'd get something better than that.
It just depends. Look, it's $10, no, $15 a month. It's compared to the total cost of the car over, say, 5 years, it's not that much money. But if you don't miss it, if you don't pay for it, then that's cool. That's totally cool. Yeah, absolutely.
It gives you a satellite visuals of the, I suppose.
Yeah, sorry, yes, the aerial photo. Yes, that's right. You don't get that, I don't think, on non-premium. You only get the map view instead of the aerial.
When I did the lap of Australia last year, I found it quite good for actually, you can see stuff that you can't see from the road, but you can see, there's something over there, or
Yeah,
sort of agricultural things
Like-
going on and building.
like the crop circles in the Kimberley, where they've got those cattle stations and they got the big. Yeah, it can be quite interesting when you're out and about.
Okay.
Alrighty, now it really is past our bedtime. Pete, how would you? Oh, and just prefacing, if there's a clunky end to the show like it was last week, it's because the stop button on my Stream Deck didn't work. So I fear it might happen again. But anyway, apologies in advance. Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this, as if I didn't already know?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable. Check out the earnings report tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And stay
Good
ahead of the
call.
curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, get up early and listen to the earnings call, join TOCWA and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and abundance. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and really do look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of TOCWA's Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Fabulous.
You
Good
guys.
night.
So.
Oh, it didn't work again. Oh, that's twice in a row. Oh, dearie me.
You just don't want to leave us, Harold.
I'm going to have to fix my button. I'm very sorry. But now we really are going. Not everyone.